Hello, everyone. I'm Major Garrett in Washington. Welcome to The Takeout and welcome to the rental political marketplace. Yes, of course, there are partisans in both parties who do not move. But if last night's election results proved anything, it is those who decide elections and, importantly, create margins of victory that can confer a mandate are renters. They will move and move fast if dissatisfied. In New Jersey, Virginia, and California, tides that flowed toward Trump just 1 year ago flowed back to Democrats, undercutting MAGA imaginings of realignment. Consider New York City. A Democratic socialist there launched his long-shot campaign for mayor first by going to neighborhoods where Trump most grew his vote in 2024. Zohran Mamdani listened to those Trump voters and won them back last night. Proof that vote renting is very real because you simply cannot find two political figures more starkly different and now on an ideological collision course than Zohran Mamdani and Donald Trump. Affordability, as you probably heard, is and was the coin of the realm in the rental political marketplace. Trump won with it a year ago. Trump-aligned Republicans lost because of it yesterday. Now, California's vote, we should note, was not about affordability, but about redistricting, a proxy for grievances and power plays playing out basically across the country. Now, while affordability dominated, there was something else. Victory speeches, as you well know, summarized the path to, well, victory. And there was a thread in all those speeches last night sure to be woven into next year's politics. For the midterms will occur as America turns 250 years old. That birthday will inevitably lead to assessments of where we stand in relation to our founding creed, our Constitution, the rule of law, and what President Trump's administration represents to all of those things. Here in order, Governor-elect Abigail Spanberger in Virginia, Governor-elect Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey, Mayor-elect Mamdani in New York, and California Governor Gavin Newsom.
This is where American democracy was born and where we are still working to perfect it today, where Washington and Jefferson fought to establish a government of, by, and for the people.
We're going to follow Lady Liberty's beacon. We're not going to give in to our darker impulses. Here in New Jersey, we know that this nation has not ever been, nor will it ever be, ruled by kings. We take oaths to a constitution, not a king.
We will usher in a generation of change. And if we embrace this brave new course, rather than fleeing from it, we can respond to oligarchy and authoritarianism with the strength it fears, not the appeasement it craves. After all, if anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him.
Next year is the 250th anniversary of the best of Roman Republic, the best of Greek democracy. This fundamental notion of a system of checks and balances, of popular sovereignty, the rule of law. Mr. President, the rule of law, not the rule of Don.
For more on what happened last night, and specifically New York City, I turn quite happily to Ed O'Keefe, who joins us from the Broadcast Center. Ed, great to see you. Give me your thoughts on the night that was, particularly in New York.
Well, in many ways, as Gavin Newsom's earned credit across the country for trying to do something in response to Trump, you saw in Mamdani's victory speech, at least last night, him say a lot of the things Democrats have been wanting to hear Democratic leaders say, and we'll see if he can act on what it is he's vowing to do once the new year begins. But quite a striking scene there at this music hall in Brooklyn that he rented, and taking what had been a very granular operation here in this America's largest city and earned such global attention for what he was able to pull off, and then to use that moment he had with the world watching to attack the president as sharply as he did is going to earn him a lot of fans across the Democratic space today into the next few weeks. But today here in New York, he spent time rolling out his transition team, which among others includes the former Federal Trade Commission leader Lina Khan, and then and said that he hasn't heard yet from the White House, but would like to talk to the president, even though he will call him out when he's doing or saying things detrimental to city residents. So He's got about 57 days to go until he becomes mayor. And the president down in Miami today, speaking to business leaders, made very clear he's got his eye on whatever it is Mayor-elect Mamdani is planning.
What does Mayor-elect Mamdani have planned, Ed, as much as he has outlined it, with policing in New York City and potential immigration enforcement from the Trump administration in the Big Apple?
Well, he had announced a few weeks ago that he's keeping the current NYPD Commissioner, Jessica Tisch, in place. Tisch, of course, a well-known, respected name in the city because her father was a major business and philanthropic leader, and ultimately has said that he's working with her to ensure that city residents are safe. And again, in rolling out this transition team today, the thought is that ultimately, they'll start to lay out their plans, and you can expect that he's going to be hiring a suite of different people from across the political left, not necessarily the far left, not necessarily the socialists to put him in place. And the more that the city sees the kind of people he is set to employ, the belief is that, support, or at least the concerns about his leadership will dissipate. A handful of those Wall Street types that have been threatening to leave the city, even today, we're admitting that, I want to work with this mayor, I want to support him and make sure the city's in good shape, which would suggest that those pleas or those vows of billionaires to leave the city may not necessarily materialize in the way they threatened.
Ed O'Keefe in New York. Appreciate the time, sir. Thank you very much. For more on Election Day results, we are joined now by CBS News Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, your friend and mine, Anthony Salvanto. Anthony, break down New York and the rest of what we saw last night.
Major, you said at the top, you talked about Trump voters, and it reminded me a year ago, you and I stood at this board, and we had seen those shifts in New York City, too, where Donald Trump had made gains. He had cut into that Democratic coalition, right? A lot of voters. And it kind of gave me an idea. So here's a map of New York. Here's Mamdani's wins. The dark blue areas are the neighborhoods that he wins, right? Let me pull up some examples of those kinds of voters. The dark blue areas dark purple areas I just lit up here, these are heavily Hispanic neighborhoods. So watch what happens when I then put in last night's results. Boom, they turn blue. He did well with Hispanic voters. I'm going to do the same thing with, let's say, black voters. These areas down here, more heavily black neighborhoods, put in the results, boom, he does well with black voters. He starts to put back together those parts of the Democratic coalition that they lost to Donald Trump last time. And I'm going to pull up this because this one's kind of fun. 2024 Trump voters in New York City, yeah, most of them go for Cuomo or Sliwa. That's what you'd expect. But 9% of them vote this time for Mamdani. What makes someone vote for Donald Trump and Mamdani? The answer to that is there are people who say they just want, each time, they just want change in the system, Major.
And elsewhere in the country, New Jersey, Virginia, California, we saw pretty much identical trend lines of margins outside what most people were expecting.
Yeah, let me take you across the river here to New Jersey. Here's the Mikey Sherrill win, and it's kind of a good example because if I take that, and let's go back to 24 again, right? Give you the example here. She outperforms what Kamala Harris got, that 56 to that 52, and she does it in and around these key areas up here in northern New Jersey, right? These are places all that sort of exemplify the kinds of places, they're suburban. Democrats typically win them when they do well. She does better there this time, and that's part of the tale. Democrats starting to put back together what they had lost in 2024, a common theme throughout the night, Major.
Anthony Salvanto, great stuff as always. I appreciate it.